G'day traders, Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Daily currency levels for the British pound crosses Tuesday, June 6th. Looking at our calendar, nothing scheduled for the rest of today. Next up is tomorrow the Aussie dollar GDP and of course G7 meetings, ADP non-farm employment, Bank of Canada rate change, and the ISM non-manufacturing. But as far as today goes, we're already through our data. The RBA Australian cash rate statement was released, but nothing else on the calendar today. Looking at our pound Aussie, yesterday we had a fairly big move and then a tight range in the last half of the day. But again, we can see that market push down. We'll blow this up a little bit. First, we'll look the bigger picture. We've still got that big gap down towards that 82.50 and maybe beyond that to fill from back in September. The market continues its move down. If we zoom in a little bit, we can look at yesterday's price action. And again, big day down yesterday, but we've fulfilled that second full expansion from the rectangle at the beginning of last month, and we're past that second full expansion from the big rectangle up top. So again, another measured expansion would take us down to that 77.50 level, but even a half expansion of that takes us into that 82.50 box. When we look at our 4-hour chart, again, we can see the market has extended its range down into that lower 250 pip box below 8,500, gone into consolidation and pulled back briefly at the end of the session last night and into this morning. We have stops below at 83.28 and of course above the swing high of yesterday up at 84.54. Looking at our 15-minute chart, again, we had levels yesterday. We can see that big move down. Swing high in Asia. The market auctioned down lower into that first hour of Europe before coming back in the London Open breakout pullback and then hitting the stops, consolidating the volume, hitting the stops into the US Open, and then shifting back down, hitting the stops. Pinning the low in the rollover, pulling back and trading in a 50 pip box this morning. We've extended that range down lower now into that below that 83.75 level. There are some profitable trades sitting in the Asian session from the 1 push, 2 push, 3 pushes dropping down. We pinned yesterday's low briefly in that rollover. Not too confident how much volume would have been collected into that, but currently sideways after a big move down, still in this bottom rectangle, auctioning around that 8,400 level. So again, 8,400 medium price, 25 above, 25 below. They've just taken out stops from earlier in the session, but again, we may see a stop hunt high, stop hunt low for a move back up towards yesterday's highs. Again, it is the second day of the month, and if we look at our weekly structure, we're still inside of Friday's high and Monday's low. So again, we extended the range down, but if we look at this 3-day cycle, we're still trading inside of yesterday's range, and Friday's high may form an anchor point for us to retest at some point in the next few days. Looking at the pound Canadian, again, our daily chart, we saw that consolidation yesterday under the 7,000 level. So we had a 1, 2, 3. We may see a retest now of those lows from last week at 68.48. So again, we've had the 1, 2 pin to the high, 3 inside bar. Inside bar traders are already triggered into the market. And again, that market, just going back briefly, we've tested that one full expansion of the 1 push, 2 push, 3 pushes. We've had one full expansion. It's still possible to have a full another measured move, taking us down into that 6,400 level area if this market was to continue to fall. Again, we can see that stop hunt at the end of the week before consolidating and an engulfment shift candle yesterday, currently testing the swing lows at the 6,900 level. So we've had one push down sideways, 2 pushes down. There are stops below the lows of last week, and again, we are below that 7,000 level that we talked about before. On our 15-minute chart, we can see we're still trading inside of London's low and Friday's high from Friday. We had a tight 50 pip consolidation before breaking down yesterday, consolidating again. This market has extended the Asian range. We have stops below that low of Friday's London low, 6,900 level. And again, there are profitable trades sitting down from Thursday's early U.S. session after the London rollover. So again, this market is looking weak, but we could see a stop hunt low for a retest back up. If we bring our chart together, we can see that last week where those profitable trades are sitting, that was the low of the week. So it's not inconceivable to see a move down and possibly a stop hunt back up towards the highs of today. Next up is our pound Swiss. And again, looking at our daily chart first, we talked about this yesterday. We've pulled back inside of last month's range on a 1 push, 2 pushes, possibly a stop hunt third push. Big move yesterday. Currently a fairly small trading range just above the 1.2 thousand level. So again, this is possibly a 1 push, 2 push, 3 pushes into the breakdown from that 1 push, 2 push, 3 push high. Possibly consolidate for a continuation or a retest of the lows down below the low of the week at 1835. Currently on our 4-hour chart, again, we talked about this yesterday, 1 push, 2 push, trendline break, retest of the high, and a 1, 2, 3. Fairly tight consolidation. If this market was to fail at the highs at the 2025 level, we could see this retest and at least fill the gap of the breakout. But again, big move up. This could be a bull flag. We would want to see the highs taken out and a continuation, stop hunting the highs from a few weeks ago up around that 2075 level. But currently we have had 3 pushes, and possibly this could be a blow off. But if we see this move continue, we could see an extended range stop hunt to the north. On our 15-minute chart, again, we can see 1 push, 2 pushes, possibly in a third day of rise. This market has moved up over 100 pips. There are some large gaps sitting from yesterday. And again, currently we have a 1, 2, 3 possibly setting up at the highs around that 2025 level. So 2,000 significant round numbers. We could see this market try to stop hunt high and fail, retesting the lows and possibly retest some of the breakout traders' profitable trades from yesterday. Again, we'll just mark this off. Plenty of room for this market to fall, but also may have some gas to continue its move upwards through the highs, continuing this move. So if we were to look at our consolidated range where this market broke out of even yesterday, it's already done pretty much 3 full expansions of that range. And again, from Wednesday's high, Friday's low, not quite a full expansion or a half expansion yet, but again, 3 pushes higher. We'll watch that 2,000 level. Pound yen. Looking at our daily chart again, we see that market similar, 1 push, 2 push, and a 1, 2, 3. Very strong move up yesterday, pushing up towards that 3,500 level. There are stops above the highs from the last 2 weeks at just above 3,500. That was a big move yesterday. We may see some follow through continue. If this market was to run out of a bit of steam, we could see a pullback to fill that gap. We do have a 1 push, 2 push, 3 push pattern, but again, this market could continue its move through the highs. On our 4-hour, very similar to the pound Swiss, we have stops all the way up on those higher lows, and again, 1 push, 2 push, and a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 measured move. So this leg that's in our 4-hour cycle right now, we have stops above 3,500. This market was to fail, we may see a retest back down to the breakout at the beginning of the week. On our 15-minute chart, similar to the pound Swiss again, we've got that rising strength, still respecting that rising trend, but again, possibly a 1 push, 2 push, and a 1, 2, 3 scenario setting up, or a breakout continuation for a measured move. We'll have to watch the Europe-London changeover. On our pound New Zealand, again, yesterday consolidating after a stop hunt on Friday's high, pinning to the top an inside bar, tightly consolidated currently with 2 inside bars. But again, we have stops below the low of the month and above the highs of Friday, but this market still has possible room for a continuation and a range expansion. Haven't seen a trend line break or any signs of a reversal. And on our 4-hour chart, that consolidation and stop hunt high on Friday before dropping down and consolidating, still sitting above that 98.25, 9900 in that squeeze, but we may have a consolidation, drop down consolidation for a continuation of that move. When we squeeze our chart together, we can see clearly still tightly bound. Yesterday was an inside bar. We're inside of Friday's high and low. Market trading off of the 9900 level and the 98.25 level. So currently we're in roughly a 75 pip box, 75 to 100 pip range, and stops below the lows of Asia and the lows of yesterday, as well as above the highs of today, the highs of yesterday, and then Friday, of course, highs and lows. Profitable trades sitting above and below that trading range. When this market breaks, we could see a stop hunt high, taking out stops, and then a continuation back down. Currently, again, we're inside of Friday's range, and it wouldn't surprise me if we retest Monday's high. Lastly, our British pound. Again, on our daily, similar to the pound yen and the pound Swiss, 1 push, 2 push, 3 pushes, big move yesterday, straight up to the 2500 level, currently sitting tightly up at the high. There are stops below the lows of the week, the lows of last week, and the lows of the month, obviously. But this market, where it goes to from here, could indicate either a reversal for a move back down to the lows or a breakout continuation, pull back to 2500 and a continuation to retest the highs of last month. On our 4-hour chart, again, similar, we've got a very strong breakout after 1 push, 2 push, 3 pushes through that upper 50 expansion range. We're over 50% of that level. We hit stops from the last few weeks. There are stops again above, up at that 2650 level up top. And again, this market, very strong move yesterday. On our 15-minute chart, we can see that trend line is still being respected. And again, we have stops below the swing lows, below the lows of Asia. We could see a nice tight little sort of consolidation and a continuation to retest these highs. If this market was to retest high and fail, we could see a pullback, stop hunting traders from the U.S. session longs. But again, depending on the breakout, that's the most important thing. It's how price behaves when it gets to these levels. So we're currently respecting the trend. Very strong moves coming out of that larger rectangle from last week, and currently trading in a very tight range as we head into the Europe Open. Just closing on a quote from Ray Dalio: realize that you have nothing to fear from knowing the truth. You know, when you know your enemy, you know what their tricks are. Wait for them to show their hand. Keep it simple, traders. Work off the highs and lows. Develop the confidence in yourself to wait, be patient, and let the smart money show you what they're going to do. Position yourself in the market with a tight risk-reward setup. Execute. Have a great trading session, and may the markets go with you.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at StaceyBurkeTrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High-Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments. As always, traders, stay disciplined, and may the markets go with you.